of 7 straight and 9-1 in their last 10. Jose Altuve has hit .487 in his last 8, and the bullpen is close to untouchable. Can it continue? Astros baseball en route is coming up next. Live from Minute Maid Park in Houston, Texas, Root Sports brings you Houston Astros baseball. Tonight, the streaking Astros take on the Seattle Mariners in Game 2 of this 4-game series. Good evening, everybody. Bill Brown and Alan Ashby. The 1st of May, the calendar flips, but the Astros take a 7-game winning streak into May, Ash.
Yeah, and hope that nothing turns right now, at least in the wrong direction. Ball club's been playing great baseball, and what a month of April it's been.
We dissect the month of April now on Inside the Box Score, and it's brought to you by Jack in the Box. What a great month, 15-7 with all those numbers associated, Ash.
Brownie, you're always looking for consistency on the good side, and this ball club is all of that. They're great in terms of the power game, 29 home runs, 3rd best in the major leagues, but they've also stolen 29 bags. So they've got power and speed. They've been scoring runs because of it, 9th in the big leagues now after a very slow start. The ERA as a team is 3rd best in the majors, and the bullpen has been spectacular on its own. So they're getting all of it, and then they've got this guy, Jose Altuve, who hits with power. He is the reigning batting champ, and he's after it again. He leads the league in stolen bases. He's just doing everything and playing a steady second base, and then the big hits in the big situations. This ball club is probably relying on this guy, but not a bad guy to rely on. They also get the defense. How about Marisnik in center field and the plays he makes, along with what George Springer has done. And Springer saved a ball game with this one. The Astros went on to win that game with a home run from Hank Conger. So a lot of good things go on, and you see some of the bullpen. It's a ball club that's really enjoying playing together for the moment.
And now just trying to keep it rolling as the month of May arrives. What will it bring? We're about to find out. We saw some video of the bullpen, and we get a closer look when Julia talks to Luke Gregerson next.
the Astros and the Mariners, and the Astros feeling really good, winning 7 straight, looking for the 8th today against the Mariners. And in that exciting win last night, Luke Gregerson, who's with me now, gets the win. Altuve with the big knock. And you've watched this team from afar last year with the Oakland A's. What has it been being on this side and seeing what these guys can really do?
I think over the last few years you've seen that they can do stuff like that, and I think it was just a matter of time before it came out a little more consistently. And I think right now they're, everything's kind of coming together all at once. We've won a lot of games where we're up by a lot, and we've won a lot of games where we're, up 2 or 1, and it just shows that everyone's working together right now.
They've also won a lot of games when you're on the mound. Our Kubota pitching performance is Luke Gregerson. They're at 11-0 when Gregerson has made an appearance. When you hear a stat like that, does that mean anything to you?
This means I'm in the right place at the right time, I guess. Obviously, this game is not won by one guy that throws 1 inning out there. So, these guys are doing a great job. They're all coming up big in key situations, and it's been a lot of fun to watch.
You're coming up big, too, though. How do you feel about the way you're throwing the ball this year?
I feel really good. I think I've taken a lot more pride in how I throw a baseball over the last few years, and I focus a lot on how I'm gripping it and how the release is, and just little things that affect the movement of the baseball. So I'm really trying to focus on those things, and right now it's all working together.
Another thing we saw last night was the bullpen doing exactly what they were asked to do, and everyone in their roles. How is everyone settling in out there?
Perfect. I think we got a great group of guys in the bullpen. Like you guys all know before, we've all pretty much played together at some point in time, and we all get along really well, so we keep it even keeled down there. We keep it loose, and then when it comes time to get out there and to take care of business, everyone's doing their job.
Thanks for the time, Luke. Luke Gregerson, the closer for the Houston Astros, who are going for their 8th consecutive win. They'll take on the Seattle Mariners next.
Book your low fare now at southwest.com. And by Jack in the Box. Jack's hottest sandwich is back. Head to Jack in the Box for Jack's Blazing Chicken Sandwich. We have another gorgeous night here in downtown Houston at Minute Maid Park. The train is creeping along toward the left field foul pole as Samuel DeDuno warms up for his first start of the season with the Astros. The Seattle Mariners begin the night with 10 wins and 12 losses after dropping that game in 10 innings last night to Houston 3-2. And the skipper Lloyd McClendon has assembled this group to start for Seattle tonight. Seth Smith is the right fielder. He leads it off with Austin Jackson in center field. Robinson Cano plays second base, batting third. The DH is Nelson Cruz, who has 10 homers to tie for the league lead. It's Kyle Seager at third base, Logan Morrison at first, Brad Miller the shortstop, Dustin Ackley in left field, Jesus Sucre the catcher.
On the mound for the Astros tonight, Sam Deduno. He's taken the spot this evening, making his first start on the year. Lifetime against Seattle, has worked in 5 games, 4 as a starter, and he's 3-1. So he's had some success, and with the ERA, great success. 129 against Seattle Mariners hitters. Lifetime 16-19 in the big leagues.
And Deduno brought out of the bullpen, having been the Astros' long man, to fill this spot in the rotation. Asher Wojciechowski had some starts. He's now back at AAA. And the Astros are looking at possibilities as Deduno takes the mound tonight. He is certainly one possibility to stay in this spot in the rotation in the next start 5 days from now. First man up is Seth Smith. Smith at .283 has 1 homer. He's driven in 6. Smith had 2 hits in last night's game, including leading off the game with a single and scoring in the first when the Mariners got 2. Those were to be the only 2 runs they would score. They hit into 3 double plays, and the Astros really played well in coming from behind to beat them 3-2. There's strike 1. Larry Vanover is the home plate umpire. Deduno has worked just 9 1/3 innings so far in 5 relief outings. Almost hit him with that pitch. It's a 1-ball, 1-strike count. Last time out for Deduno was Sunday at Oakland. In relief, he worked 2 1/3 innings.
Second pitch looked like a 5-buster when it left Deduno's hand.
Sure did. And of course, that is a big issue. What kind of command will he bring to the mound today? He has walked 3 in 9 1/3 innings so far this year. Oh, he knocks down that line drive, scrambles for it, and that was a bullet, but Smith is out number 1.
One of those dangerous line drives right back up the middle, but Deduno alertly able to get the glove on it. Watch him react. And that glove was actually behind his face, and therein lies a big part of the problem for a lot of pitchers. Watch it from this angle. It's a dangerous position.
One fortunate out for Deduno. Fortunate to get an out. Fortunate it didn't hit him somewhere else. Now Austin Jackson looks at ball 1. A .250 hitter with 2 homers, 4 runs batted in. Jackson last night had 3 hits and stole a couple of bases. It's a 2-ball, no strike count. Deduno, of course, would love to go 5 innings in a game like this, but this being his first start of the year, it will all depend on pitch count.
Put together like a pitcher. This looked like he could go forever out there.
Falls behind 3-0. Deduno is 31 years old. Began his career with the Rockies organization. He was born in the Dominican Republic. He's been with San Diego and Minnesota. The Astros got him on waivers last August. There's a 4-pitch walk to the speedy Jackson.
Defensively for the Astros behind Sam Deduno. In the outfield left to right, Colby Rasmus, Jake Marisnick, and George Springer on the infield. Luis Valbuena and Jonathan Villar on the left side. Jose Altuve and Chris Carter make up the right side, and behind the plate once again Jason Castro.
Robinson Cano has started the last 5 All-Star games at second base in the American League. Wonder if he'll get it this year. .253, 1 homer, 6 runs batted in. The voting is now underway, and Mr. Altuve might give him a run for that starting spot at second base. Runner starts and stops. There is strike 1 to Cano.
You know, unfortunately, or however you look at it, it can be a bit like the Gold Glove was for so long. Once you win it, you start having the reputation, and everybody tends to vote in that direction. But I hope that people look at what Altuve is doing.
Cano snapped an 0 for 18 last night and had a 2 for 5 game. That's in the air to center field, measured by Marisnick, and Jake takes care about number 2. Jackson on the last couple of pitches took a couple of quick steps towards second and stopped. Now it'll be the slugger Nelson Cruz, tied for the top spot in the American League in both homers with 10 and runs batted in with 22. He's leading the league in total bases right now with a .322 average to start the season. The infield has shifted around, playing him to pull. Last night he was hitless in 4 at-bats. Runner goes, and here's the throw, and not in time. Altuve reached out a little bit to the shortstop side, but Jackson stole his 5th of the year.
Good jump, good speed gets this. Jason Castro, as we've seen other times recently, doing everything a catcher can do, and he puts a good throw on the money, but it's just a little too late to be able to get the speed of Jackson.
Jackson works his way into scoring position with steal number 5. And the pitch was ball 1. Liner to right field, in for a hit, charged by Springer. Here's the stop sign at third, and Springer's throw is right there for Jason Castro on the single by Cruz. Rich Donnelly had stopped the base runner at third, a very wise move.
For a couple of reasons, George Springer able to make this work without Cruz moving into second base. This throw missing the cutoff man, but because the ball was hit so sharply and because George charged it well, he's able to launch this throw to the plate and still not have that trail runner Cruz move into second. So fortunate in that regard.
It is somewhat unusual, and Rich Donnelly's a very good third base coach, for the coach not to send somebody from second with 2 outs on a hit to the outfield, but you could just see why he made that decision. Strong throw from Springer.
In fact, Springer had the ball in his glove probably 2 steps before Jackson hit third base.
That's another excellent point. The ball got out to him quickly. Kyle Seager bats. It's ball 1 to a .266 hitting Seager with 2 homers, 12 runs batted in. Seager had a 1-for-4 night, drove in a run last night. The infield shifts around on him. Seager was drafted in '09 from North Carolina. Good pickup there by Castro. It's 2 balls, no strikes. DeDuno last year was 2-6. His ERA was 4.47. He made 9 starts and a total of 35 appearances in the majors between Minnesota and Houston. Carter holding Cruz. Seager looks at it. It's in for a strike. 2-1. On Sunday in that game at Oakland, DeDuno threw 38 pitches in 2 1/3 innings. Last night, Scott Feldman gave the Astros 7 very good innings. And he really had to scramble out of first and second inning trouble. He got double plays in both of the first 2 innings last night. So the Mariners were held to 2 runs on only 11 hits. And all of their hits were singles. Only 11 hits.
Yeah, it's easy to say that Feldman got better as the night wore on, but he was very unfortunate in the first inning, and that factored in a big way in the 2 runs being able to score.
Backhanded Altuve. Slick play. Some balls were hit hard, but it's no runs, 1 hit, 2 men left, and the Astros come up with no score. with this Southwest Astros lineup. Showing you Jose Altuve leading it off. He's on a 9-game hitting streak. He's at second base, followed by Luis Valbuena at third. George Springer in right field. Evan Gattis, the DH, cleans it up with Chris Carter at first base. Colby Rasmus in left field. Jake Marisnick in center field. Jason Castro, the catcher. Jonathan Villar at shortstop.
On the mound for Seattle, 26-year-old right-hander Roenis Elias. And Elias, now in his second year in the big leagues, pitched 29 games as a starter for the Mariners last year and pitched pretty effectively, .385 his ERA, while going 10-12. And against the Astros on his career, already a couple of starts. He has not picked up a decision while working 11 1/3 innings, just allowing 2 earned runs to a nice 1.59 ERA against Houston.
And as he goes to work, it's Jose Altuve, one of the sizzling hitters in the majors, with a .367 batting average, 4th best in the American League. 8 straight multi-hit games, one away from tying a club record and taking ball 1. Elias, in his last start Sunday against Minnesota, got a no decision, giving up 2 runs in 5 2/3 innings. 16 runs batted in places Altuve atop the list of Houston hitters. 2-0, so he's leading the club in many departments right now. Runs, hits, total bases, doubles, runs batted in, and steals.
Come on, there's got to be something else.
We'll search and come up with something else probably. Well, he's worked the count to 3-0, and Elias himself said after that last start with pretty good numbers that his issue was fastball command. The off-speed stuff was effective for him last time out, and that's the issue right out of the gate for him tonight.
Against left-hand pitching this year, Altuve hitting .560.
And he gets a 4-pitch walk.
Defensively for Seattle tonight, behind Elias, outfield left to right, Justin Ackley, Austin Jackson, and Seth Smith. On the infield left side, Kyle Seager and Brad Miller. And on the right, it's Robinson Cano and Logan Morrison. Behind the plate, Jesus Sucre.
Sucre and Elias work well together. Luis Valbuena, a .218 hitter with 5 homers, 9 runs batted in. Makes it lefty on lefty, and the throw goes over. Altuve, with 9 steals and 11 tries, is the American League stolen base leader right now. Valbuena is a former Seattle Mariner. He began his career with the M's. Last night he had 2 walks and scored a run. He looks at his strike there, and it's 0-1 to Valbuena.
Ronnie, I'm curious about Jose Altuve. We learned late last year that he had privately said he was going to win the batting title, and he did by a wide margin, 341. So I would love to know what he has said in his own head this year in terms of goals to go after.
Way out, and it's a 1-ball 1-strike count. Oh yeah, you know, he probably boosted his goals a little bit higher this season.
He was 13th in the MVP voting last year, and I wonder if he feels like he's got something to show there and maybe to motivate the voters.
Well, he was well aware that that was his first walk-off last night. And that's a factor of a few things. Number one, the team winning more games, getting more opportunities. And the team is considerably better than it has been in the past. Another thing is you can only have a walk-off in a home game. So you could have an extra inning go-ahead hit on the road, and that wouldn't be considered a walk-off. But still just as important. And then the other factor that may become more and more important is he going to be pitched to in a situation in which he can have a walk-off?
That's a great point right there. And I'll bet you Lloyd McClendon, the skipper of Seattle last night, wishes he had not faced Jose Altuve.
Well, right now, Valbuena is having to wait as there are repeated throws to first base by Elias.
It's a very tough spot for McClendon. And the previous pitch to him going out to the mound and eventually Altuve winning the ball game was very close to being a wild pitch. And I felt at the time that that was the best case scenario for McClendon in the end.
In the air to shallow right, Cano backpedals. Takes care of out number 1.
Or rather would have been.
Elias with 10 major league wins, 12 losses, and a 3.83 ERA. Fitting into this spot in the rotation, making his second major league start of the year. In the absence of Iwakuma. And Iwakuma could be back in a few weeks into that Mariner rotation. Hisashi has been sidelined, but not expected to be out long term. George Springer, 200, 3 homers, 11 runs batted in. Ball 1 to George. George had a hit last night in 4 at-bats. Springer drove in 8 runs on the road trip of 9 games. Provided a couple of long balls as the Astros went 8-1 on their best 9-game trip ever. That's in to even the count at 1-1.
You know, we were joking last night about Springer after hitting a ball up the middle and being thrown out by Cano, complaining that there are no hits up the middle, and he maintained that today with a big smile on his face. He feels like Cano has just taken the heart of the diamond away from him.
Well, there he is up the middle again, of course. In the air, foul, right side, and it's a 1-ball, 2-strike count. The Astros 15-7. Their best April since 1986. That club was 14-6 in April. If they win tonight, they will equal their best start ever, 16-7 in 1980. And that 1980 club was something special. Last time they won 8 in a row was 08. Shooting for number 8 in a row tonight, and they have a 4-game lead in the American League West. With the Angels in second, Seattle currently 5 games back. The .682 winning percentage for the Astros, and their 15-7 record equaled only in the American League by Kansas City right now. Springer takes it, and it's 2-2 to George.
I was actually asking.
Yeah, there's the conversation that went on. I wasn't even aware there was a camera hanging around
where he was playing, because he had backed off, and then before the pitch came, he stepped right back over the base, and I hit it, and I'm like, I picked up my hand and I saw the.
That's rolled foul, got in on Springer, and it's 2-2. So we've got cameras all over the place.
Yeah, that was very sly, but. Bottom line was that was Springer explaining to the skip, because he started the whole conversation by saying the skip lied to me, meaning the skip had said there are hits up the middle. Okay. But yeah, it was kind of a fun conversation, and that's who George Springer is.
Well, this is a team having plenty of fun right now. They're just really focused each night coming to the game. Astros are 3-1 against the Mariners, who were picked by many to win the American League West. Quite a start within the division for the Astros. They're 11-5. Grounded foul, third base side. They have winning records against every team in the division. And this last night, this 4-game series, beginning a string of 11 in a row within the American League West again for the Astros. So this month of April just concluded last night, and now the early stretch of May includes a whole lot of divisional foes. Springer's down on strikes, 2 outs. Lowe's will show us now how we never stop improving, and we show the Astros April of 2015 as compared to past April records. And they have not been good in recent years.
Well, that is quite a turnaround from those rough seasons. And what you hope now with the Astros is that that's all in the rearview mirror, and you start heading toward a new time for this organization.
Evan Gattis fouls it for strike 1. Gattis, the DH, starts the night at 164 with 2 homers, 9 runs batted in. Last night he was 0 for 4, but drove in 2 runs on groundouts. So the Astros were out hit 11-7, but they won the game 3-2 in 10. Gaddis' 2 runs batted in, really instrumental in that victory. It's 0-2 for Elias. Elias is from Cuba. He defected in 2010 to Mexico. He's made 2 starts against the Astros. Both were at Seattle. Has not had a win or a loss against Houston, with an ERA of 1.59 in those 2 games. Last year he was 10-12 for the Mariners with a 3.85 ERA. Very competitive season for the lefty, who's now 26. Fouled away. No balls, 2 strikes.
With a couple of strikes on Evan Gaddis and a couple of outs in the inning, Altuve has been kind of planted down at first base, maybe conceding that Elias is just a little too tough to try to run on. But with 2 strikes again, I would think that it's kind of a free chance to run. Even if you make the final out, you bring that hitter Gaddis in this case back to the plate to start the next inning.
It's line to left field. It's got some lift on it, and it reaches the seats. 2-run line shot homer by Gaddis. 2-0 Houston in the first. He was laying in wait for that one, and he drilled it for number 3 of the season. 11 runs batted in for Evan Gaddis.
Or you can just stay at first base and let Gaddis drive it out of here. It's a ball club that seems to be making the right decisions at the moment. Well, he just stayed right through it. The pickings have been a bit lean for Evan Gaddis and others in the heart of the order, but they've come up still with big swings for the team.
That's the 30th home run for the AL leading Astros. And this crowd is buzzing with Chris Carter batting now. Carter fouls it. There's strike 1 to Chris. Gaddis fires everybody up on the 0-2 pitch with 2 outs in the inning. The Astros lead the league in homers, and they lead the league in steals. Until a moment ago, they had exactly the same number of steals as homers.
And they're one of the top pitching teams, and they happen to play good defense. It's probably why they're 15-7.
Their last winning April, by the way, was in 06 when they were 16-8 that month. In the air, foul. A long run here for Logan Morrison, and he had a problem locating it, but then he regrouped. Nope, he did not make the catch. He slowed down a little bit, was trying to look back, directly back up over his head, and then put on a burst, but failed to catch it.
It's not a huge foul territory here in Houston. This ball starts curling back toward the field of play, and I don't know if in the end that fooled Morrison, but he had clearly gotten there.
That certainly is a tough angle for him, and he had to run a long way. He is playing very far off the first base line. It's ruled no play, so no error. Carter takes 2 balls, 2 strikes. Carter made an excellent diving play on a bunt that was sort of lined out toward him last night in the 10th inning by Austin Jackson. So the skipper was kidding him about being their defensive specialist. Popped up, and this will be back out of play. During his recent 7-game hitting streak, Chris was 9 for 26, hitting .346, but now was cooled off last night, 0 for 4 with 3 punch-outs. Well, Gaddis has 3 long balls, and the Astros really haven't figured that he could well be in the 30s this year with the full-time DH in effect compared to his days as a catcher with Atlanta and a left fielder.
Couldn't you just see the blue collar there around Gaddis's neck? Just a genuine, hard-working, determined guy. It's there.
Well, there it is. Yes, it is blue. Colby Rasmus on deck. Seager takes care of out number 3. A walk and a 2-run homer to take care of the Astros first inning. Gaddis provides the muscle, driving in Altuve to make it 2-0 Houston after 1.
To the park this Sunday as the Astros take on the Mariners. Come out and enjoy dog-friendly activities like a pooch parade, vendors expo, and much more. Get Dog Day tickets by visiting astros.com/Dog Day. I look forward to that. And as Sam Deduno gets back to work here in the second, hey, Jay Hinch talking about him before the game, saying he will be limited. He knows that he's not stretched out like some of the other starters that have been in that spot. Asher Wojciechowski, also Brad Peacock. But he's hoping to extend his innings today to help him be a little more effective. He needs Sam Deduno to step up, or he needs someone to step up in that role, guys. So not saying it's an audition, but they're definitely keeping their eye on Deduno and what he can do tonight.
Yes, they are. And now Logan Morrison puts one over not too far from Julia's position for a foul ball. 0-2. Hey, Julia, you don't get these because you're down there by the dugout, but we just got a media release from the Astros. The Astros are inviting fans to celebrate the ball club's best start since 1986 with a special ticket promotion. It offers limited lower level and 200 level seats for $19.86 for Monday through Thursday games in May. And that includes a price reduction of up to 50%. We've talked about the month of April being the best start since '86. Tickets are $19.86 for limited lower level and 200 level seats Monday through Thursday in May. Good price. Logan Morrison was 1 for 4 last night. And he looks at strike 3.
There have been years and years just strung together where umpires would never begin to call that pitch, but they have been, as we've been talking about, reviewed, analyzed, and shown the data on where pitches are. And that pitch, that up and in area, up, down below the knees, at the bottom of the knees, I should say, areas where you're seeing a drastic improvement with the umpires, and really good to see.
Brad Miller comes up. Miller takes that one. Deduno throws strike 1. Miller at 277 has a homer, 7 runs batted in. 0 for 1 with 2 walks and a sac bunt last night. Made some good plays at short last night. Breaking pitch 0-2, and Deduno seems to be finding his rhythm here.
By the way, Brownie, we've referenced that 1986 Astros club that obviously won their division. They did go 14-6 in April, but then they struggled the next 2 months.
That's a punch out.
They were 13-13 in May, 14-15 in June, before catching fire the final 3 months of the season.
Did you give a clubhouse speech?
Well, it was something like that. I think they kept me completely quiet at that point, and things got going.
Al Lanier might have given one, though.
Yeah, that possibly could have happened.
Dustin Ackley with 3 homers. That's a 196 batting average, the number 8 hitter. Ball one from DeDuno. DeDuno's pitch count high for an outing this year, 54 pitches. That was his first time out here against Cleveland in long relief April 9th. And that's backhanded by Carter. Nice play by the big first sacker. A 3-1 out number 3. 2-0 Astros in the second.
Interstate rivals, the Rangers, in a 3-game series beginning this Monday. For tickets, call 1-877-9-ASTROS or visit Astros.com.
That will be the first series of those specially priced games coming up for home games in May. The $19.86 price for that Rangers series coming up Monday through Wednesday. There you see the AL West, the Rangers on the bottom, the Astros on the top. Angels 4 games out. Mariners and A's in 3rd and 4th place.
You know, I like the way that color scheme works out right there.
Yeah. Colby Rasmus, lefty on lefty, taking, and it's strike one. 254 for Colby. 4 homers, 9 runs batted in. Last night he drew a pinch walk in the 10th inning. Lefties were 3 for 8 against Elias in his first start this year. The sweeping breaking pitch has been missing outside a couple of times in the early going. It's a 1-ball, 1-strike count. We have been so fortunate with this weather, Ash.
Yeah, last couple days, obviously gorgeous. It's a bit cool up Washington and Northern California way.
Foul back, 1-2. Did you take your sweater?
Yeah, you have to. But I hope folks here in Houston are realizing they've got the magic weather around the country, huh?
Oh, they got the magic weather. They've got a magic team right now. Look at those clouds.
I see the moon peeking through.
Gorgeous out there. Again, that breaking pitch is errant for Elias. He's yanking it way outside. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Doesn't look like a reliable pitch. So if you're Rasmus, can you just eliminate that pitch and look fastball here?
That's hard. When you've got the left-hander, for whatever reason, lefties are very difficult on left-hand hitters. And when you've got a slider that sweeps that much, you can see the end result right there.
Yeah.
It just looks different. I have always believed that it's because, and I know everybody's just going to snicker at this, but because first base is on the right side, where right-hand hitters lean into the slider going away, left-handers are pulling away, getting ready to run to first base. That's my philosophy.
Well, you know what he did? He came back with a great breaking ball that time. So no, don't eliminate it. That's not a plan right now. Jake Marisnick bats. He rocks one to left field. That will get out. Line shot for Marisnick. And it's 3-0 with another bomb. Number 3 for Jake is running around the bases with 11 runs batted in for Marisnick.
Now, anybody who says of Jake Marisnick here over the first month of the season that he's been good is way shortchanging him. He's been spectacular. And if he is anywhere near this good over the course of the season and then a career, the Astros have got a gem.
He leaned into that pitch. It's a 9-game hitting streak now for Marisnick. And now up the middle, past the diving Miller. There's a Castro hit. Well, he finally found a hole. You and Blummer were talking about it, and Julia on the road trip, and Alan Zitter, the assistant hitting coach, quickly nominated Jason Castro for the Astro hitter who's hit in the toughest of luck with hard hit balls going right at people. Maybe his luck is turning.
Your hard luck hitter for the month of April. And here it is, May 1st, so turn it around. That was a really late break, might I say, by Miller at shortstop. He didn't even start his move to his left until the ball had almost reached him.
Now switch hitting shortstop Jonathan Villar. Marwin Gonzalez started last night's game. Villar against the lefty getting this opportunity. Of course, there was a lefty on the mound as well last night, Paxton. Marwin was 1 for 4, and he got a key double leading to the winning run, which he scored in the 10th inning last night. There's strike 1 to Villar. Villar has had 15 at-bats with 2 hits. And he's known to have more pop from this right side of the plate.
He's powerful from this side.
Not a good swing, and it's 0-2.
That's one of those swings that after a win, teammates will rub in a little bit.
Well, this team is really clicking in the clubhouse. That's over shortstop, and he loops it into left center field. Villar on the 0-2 pitch has reached 3 straight hits off Elias.
Now let's take a look at tonight's T-Mobile game changer, which is, let's talk about Jose Altuve, maybe. The game-winning hit in last night's game, 10th inning. He comes to the plate, man in scoring position. All you need is 1 run. Almost a given with Altuve. Don't touch me, guys. You leave me alone. Teammates are happy, but they're also trying to get a piece of that heat.
Yeah, officially that was a game-winning single. Altuve was just waiting around second for his teammates to pile on, although he never did touch second base. So now trouble for the Mariners here in the early going, as Elias has given up 3 runs. He has 2 men on with 1 out, and Altuve bats. Jose with that .367 average walked his first time up and scored. During his 8 straight games, all multi-hit games, he's hit .487. Jesus Alou had 9 straight multi-hit games way back in '69. Billy Hatcher tied it in '87. He rips this one just foul. Right to Altuve.
I'm telling you, if you try to pitch him in, he will rake you hard to left field. If you pitch him away, you might have your best shot, but he still has that gifted ability to flip some balls to right and to even shoot some line drives down the line. He can go back up the middle, all over the place.
That one is another foul ball, and it's 0-2 to Jose.
And Brownie, we saw on the road trip the long ball, the balls that he was hitting over center fielders' heads. I don't know how you pitch him, and I don't know how you line up a defense.
Just come out and watch, because he puts on a show. He got 36 hits in the month of April. Last time an Astro did that, Miguel Tejada had 37 in '08 in April. Up and in for a ball. 1-2.
All I can say is that must have been some kind of month by Tejada.
Well, you know, he was a similar hitter, as you well recall. Well, he had tremendous eye-hand coordination. And Altuve, as you pointed out on the road trip, well ahead of last year's pace for hits. He has 36 now. He had 22 in the first 22 games last year.
And wound up with 2 1/4.
Yep. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Yeah, if you're voting for starting second baseman in the American League and you're voting right now, it's a pretty easy choice.
Yeah. You know what I want Phil Boudreau to check out for us? I want to know what Ichiro had in terms of hits through April in his 262 hit year.
Miller at short. Gets it to Cano. Cano unloads on over to Morrison. 6-4-3 double play. And it's 1 run, 3 hits. And a man left. Astros have boosted their lead thanks to Marisnick to 3-0 after a couple. A solo. A reminder now, as you enjoy a cold one, to look forward to Miller Time. It's later in tonight's game, and it's brought to you by Miller Lite. You're a firework. We've seen a couple of fireworks tonight, and there's one of those ropes coming from Mr. Marisnick, the other one from Gaddis. So DeDuno takes a 3-0 lead to the 3rd inning against Jesus Sucre. Sucre looks at strike 1. He is 0 for 7 in the early portion of the season. Well, if you're DeDuno and you want to get this spot that's open in the starting rotation, here's a golden opportunity. 3-0 lead, and it's all about being able to throw strikes and stay in this game for a while, get the 5 innings, and qualify for a win for A.J. Hinch.
Make your skip happy. That tends to work.
He bounces that breaking pitch, and the appeal went to first. Check swing call goes Seattle's way. Ron Culpa with the call. 1-2 to Sucre. Sucre with a good working relationship with Elias. Mike Zunino has played in every game. He hasn't started all of them. And that is strike 3. That's the 3rd strikeout by DeDuno.
Sucre looked like he was unhappy with that call. I can't imagine why. Well, let's see. Okay, on the high end, but catches a piece of the strike zone. Jason actually started to come up a little bit, and sometimes that can give that appearance. But
you ready for your answer from Boots?
Oh, yeah.
Ichiro, 26 hits.
So obviously the 262 is being pursued by Altuve right now.
With a passion, with a vengeance. Seth Smith line back, and Taduno knocked it down, threw him out. That is strike one to Smith. Interesting choice to lead off because he has good power. But when you look at the other choices, it's understandable why Lloyd McClendon has gone with Smith, at least short term here. 0-2. Damian Jackson, who's batting second, has a .283 on base average. Smith has a .352. So at least right now, Smith has a much better chance to get something going from that leadoff spot. Not this time. Strikeout victim number 4 for Taduno.
Not here, not now. Yeah, sometimes if you can just get on a roll, you can keep that thing going, and you hope that's the case for Sam Taduno.
Jackson took a 4-pitch walk in the first inning. He stole second. He advanced as far as third. Fouls it back. There's strike one. Don't you love night games this time of year? The temperature is lower. The humidity's dropped down a little bit lower than we normally see, and you get to look out in the distance at that scene.
Really ideal. You know what, though? I do really love day games because I enjoy the evening as kind of that chance to enjoy family after a nice victory earlier in the day.
You want to savor that win.
You're getting where I'm going there, right?
There's been a lot of savoring in the Astros clubhouse.
Okay, so Brownie, Bill Boudreau has just been all over this thing. After the 26 hits in the first month of the year for Ichiro, he came back with 50 in May. So now the pursuit is going to be a serious one.
That's a month. 50 hits in May. Good grief.
That's 51 in July, 56 in August, 50 in the September-October portion of the program. So there's a lot of work to be done.
That is incredible. Fly ball to the right field line, and that will go foul. Still 2-2 to Jackson. Brett Oberholzer had a rehab start last night in the minor leagues and did not have good numbers. He's coming back from a blister problem, and the skin had to heal, and then his arm strength is being rebuilt now. He would be another option for the Astros to add to their starting rotation. And there are others. Asher Wojciechowski, we understand, had a session after he was optioned on paper. He didn't leave the club. He stayed in San Diego through a bullpen, and we're hearing that went very well.
Brent Strom basically saying, before you leave, let's see if we can work this out. And they really felt good about things.
So he would be another option. And there are more.
There's a pitching coach for you right there.
Or is he into it? Craig Bjornson, the bullpen coach, welcomed another lefty tonight. Kevin Chapman has joined the crew in the pen, giving the Astros 3 lefty relievers now. Jackson works another walk. He has the 2 walks Taduno has issued, and it's Cano coming up.
Trying to find the inside portion of the plate. It simply lets it get away. Taduno has one of those fastballs that'll run a lot in either direction, and it's kind of a mystery pitch for pitcher and catcher.
Well, the Mariners have seen him at his best with his career ERA against them of 1.29. In his starts, he's 3-1 with a 1.38 ERA. Ty Cobb had 68 hits in July of 1912. That's the Major League record for most hits in a month. 68. What? Is that possible? Strike one to Cano. Outrageous, isn't it?
Season total for some of us.
Career total for some people. Foul back.
Yeah, you got that right.
No balls, 2 strikes.
Guys that go home and say, I had a really nice career too.
Well, the question now is, with Deduno having been the long man in the rotation now, who's the long man? Well, he's trying to make that irrelevant, at least for tonight, by staying in the game for a while.
You know what? If you get enough really nice starting pitching, you don't really need technically that long guy in the pen.
Pitch out. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Well, you talked about it earlier with the Astros, with Altuve on first, the 0-2 count on Gaddis. That can be a count base stealers really like to choose for a steal.
But again, it's a team that is making the right choices right now. There was no running game, and I might have been inclined to say, well, good time. Why don't we go ahead and run here? But just left it in the hands of Gaddis, who has not been hot, and he launches.
A lot of decisions are looking very good right now. Foul back.
And it's not like managers are pulling all the strings in terms of go on this pitch. Don't believe that. It's a game of green lights. You trust certain guys. You provide green lights in certain scenarios and allow the talented players to make it happen. But those talented players have to use their heads as well.
Runner goes. Ground ball goes foul. Jackson will return. A.J. Hinch said one of his quotes after last night's game was, "There's no pout in this team." Obviously, there's no panic. And the momentum part is more about belief and less about a secret potion of momentum.
I'll try to ponder all that tonight, but his attitude is just pleasant to be around, and you get the sense that the players love playing for him.
Pitches ball 2, and it's 2-2 to Robinson Cano.
Makes you think Billy Martin, I'm sure, right?
He wouldn't be the first to come to mind, no.
How many times did George fire Billy Martin? 3 times?
Yeah.
George Costanza only got fired once.
Runner going. Line shot into right field. Jackson takes the turn, heads for third base. George Springer picks it up, fires back in. Altuve stretching for it. He can't get it. The run scores. And it's 3-1 now on an RBI double by Cano. And Springer got to the ball and quickly got the throw back in, but it was wide of Altuve. Carter was able to back it up, but Seattle scoring the run to make it 3-1.
This is a case of the shifting putting George Springer way towards center field, and that enables this ball that was pretty much straightaway right field to allow a run to score. And you know, we hear a lot about evaluations of what shifts do, and I truly wonder how plays like this get factored in.
Now Nelson Cruz representing the potential tying run. He singled to right field in the first inning. And there's ball 1 to him. And it's a big situation here for Deduno. Got the first 2 hitters, then a walk, an RBI double. Bouncer in the hole. VR unloads a long low throw. Carter there to dig it. Good scoop by Carter. And that holds the inning to 1 run, 1 hit, and 1 left for Seattle. 3-1 Houston.
And let's go no further than the first inning with Evan Gattis, as he took a 2-strike pitch, launched it to the first row of the Crawford boxes. Jose Altuve was aboard, and that meant the Astros quickly had 2 runs on the board. And that's not a bad way to start a ball game.
So Gattis is right there. The Astros with 31 long balls, leading the American League and trailing only the Dodgers in the majors with 32. Now they look for more as the home third brings Valbuena to the plate. Valbuena popped to second in the first inning. Happy birthday wishes go out to Joe Bukovic, watching in Virginia. He has just become an Astros fan. And there's strike one to Valbuena.
Make it lifetime.
Yeah. Springer and Gattis to follow here in the Houston third inning. 41 pitches for Elias, including those 2 long balls and a couple of singles. In for a strike, and it's 0-2. Lately, the Seattle starters have done well. In the last 9 games, their starters have combined for a 1.67 ERA. James Paxton was good last night, 7 innings, 2 runs allowed. 1-2. So you say the Astros are 14-7. What does it mean? Well, we don't know. But 22 of 47 teams from 95 through last year had a 14-7 start, and 22 of 47 won their division. Broken bat looper to left. That's in for a hit in front of Ackley. And Valbuena might not use the bat again, but it was worth it to get a single.
So it may actually be a bit about how you start a year, huh?
It could be.
Right off the end of the bat, splat. That's the sound, and that splat can be a lovely sound for a hitter.
Valbuena aboard. Hit number 5 for the Astros. George Springer struck out in the first inning. 6 more of those teams starting 14-7 were wild card teams. So that totaled 28 of the last 47 teams to start 14-7, reaching the playoffs. Small sample, though. That's strike 1.
Well, from that number, it's almost a ticket to the dance, isn't it?
Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Wouldn't be prudent. 0-2.
Speaking of which, I've seen your dance routines.
Pretty
strong.
Well,
Dancing with the Stars in your future?
Yeah, you can practice. You can practice dancing in May. But the big dance is in October.
I think we just heard it right here. I think he's going to be on the next season of Dancing with the Stars.
Okay. Here's one you might not like, Ash. Baseball Prospectus in March gave the Astros a 13% chance of reaching the postseason. Now that's risen to 37%.
Bandwagon bunch.
The current Baseball Prospectus analysis has the Angels with a 55% chance to reach the playoffs, and Seattle 41%. So the Astros rank 3rd in the AL West in terms of postseason chances by Baseball Prospectus.
Was that number for the Angels derived pre or post ejection of Josh Hamilton?
Post. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Angels will be the next opponent for Seattle on their 10-game road trip. They have 2 more left here, though, after tonight. Tomorrow night at 6:10, it's Colin McHugh and Taijuan Walker. 3 of his 5 major league wins have come in this ballpark. That one is blocked by Sucre. 3-2 now for Springer, and we'll keep an eye on Valbuena at first for the running game. And then Sunday at 1:10, Roberto Hernandez pairs up with former Astro Jay Happ. Cano again shades up the middle. And that is a swing and a strikeout for Springer. Number 3.
Looked like George went after ball 4 right there, but it was really kind of intriguing. Now our pitch by pitch brought to you by Steel Dealers. And we'll take a look at the sequence of pitches to George and picking up that strikeout. You know, it's funny, and this pitch down in the bottom of the strike zone and then under the strike zone, and they're going to stay there. They're going to stay low throughout this entire at-bat and getting the strikeout by doing so. But Jeff Blum and I were talking about on the road trip that we thought at times teams needed to or were going to try to just stay up with fastballs on George. But they found another way to get him out right here.
Evan Gattis takes strike one. He rifled a 2-run homer to the Landry's Crawford boxes in the first off Elias. First time these two have faced each other. Gattis fouls it, and it's 0-2 to Evan. Boy, there are some guys who are loving the fact that the calendar was flipped to May after the month of April they had. Players like Ian Desmond, Carlos Beltran, Mike Napoli, Chase Utley, Josh Harrison. Rough April starts for those players. Victor Martinez had a rough April. The guy who pressed Jose Altuve for the batting title all the way to the last day of the season, but he had knee surgery, and that may be compounding the problem for him here.
I'm trying to recall the first 2 or 3 days of the season looked like Martinez was fit and ready to go.
True. In the cold weather, so who knew? We voted for our awards for the month of April in the American League before the game tonight. Dallas Keuchel should get a lot of votes for pitcher of the month. Jose Altuve should get votes for player of the month. Another one near the left field line. Let's see. Gattis has hit one foul. They are glad he did.
That first home run of the night for Gattis, kind of a cheapie, and this one would have been kind of in that category. Didn't really get all of it. This is a guy that when he gets it, you're going to know it from the instant it comes off the bat.
Well, the pitch count has reached 54 for Elias now. Foul ball came up and took a piece out of him. Still a 1-2 count with Carter on deck. Rays lead the Orioles 2-0. The Orioles are listed as the home team. They're wearing the home uniforms, but they're playing the game in St. Petersburg. It's got to feel weird for them. That's a shortstop. Miller tossing to Cano, and Cano gets it on to Morrison. 2 double plays in the last 2 innings, and a haircut underway while this 3-1 ball game takes us to the 4th.
Wilson throws his second career no-hitter against the Reds on this day, May 1st, 1969. It's our M.D. Anderson this day in history, and he remains the only Houston Astros player or Houston player pitcher ever to throw 2 no-hitters. I'll bet you if you ask that question of a lot of big-time baseball fans, they'd quickly want to go, well, let's see, Nolan Ryan, Mike Scott. You'd probably go other places, but Don Wilson, the only member of a Houston team to do that.
Yeah. Ball 1 to Kyle Seager, 3-1 Astros in the 4th inning, and he fouls that one.
How about J.R. Richard, Joe Niekro?
Right. Strong candidates.
Ken Forsch had 1 no-hitter.
Sure did.
Darryl Kyle.
That was fun that night. Six pitchers combined on one in Yankee Stadium. 1 hopper, Altuve. Over to Carter for out number 1 for DeDuno. Who's acquitting himself well tonight. And it's a valuable pitcher who can help his club both in the bullpen and as a starter, and that's been DeDuno's history.
Prove your value. Get it done whether as a reliever or a starter. And then the confidence develops not only for that individual player, but the manager and the staff.
Logan Morrison with ball 1 there. He's up for the second time, making a strike. He is 0 for 1, struck out looking. Morrison, 27 years old, from Kansas City, Missouri. He went to Maple Woods Community College. Albert Pujols also went to that school. Out to center, Marisnik backing on it, a long way back. Now it one-hops the wall and makes a crazy carom. He has to go grab it off the warning track. Morrison stretching it out for third. Here's the relay from VR, and not in time. It's a triple for Morrison. That ball took a little turn, and Jake had to go get it on the warning track. It looked as if he was hoping for a carom more back toward him.
Jake started back, and it initially looked like with his speed and instincts he might get to it, but a lot of carry on this ball. At this point is where it got rough, and Jake just had a hard time picking it up, but really can't fault a center fielder in that scenario. I do think that Marisnik thought this ball was going to come directly off the wall initially.
That's the way it looked. Strong throw from VR. And now with 1 out, the infield lays back for Miller. And there's strike 1 to Miller. Well, it would be great to keep this roof open for several days in a row on this 7-game homestand. Miller chased one, and he falls behind in the count, 0-2.
It's a pitcher looking for right now with a couple of strikes. See if you can get the strikeout, prevent that runner from scoring on a freebie ground ball.
Mariners are 12th in runs scored in the American League, averaging 3.59 runs per game. Good play by Valbuena. And he throws to Carter. Wow, that's nice, because Morrison had to hold. 2 outs.
Last night it was Miller as the runner at third base that put some heat on Valbuena on a similar play, a ground ball on the left side, and Valbuena held on a little too long, just anticipating the runner might be headed toward the plate, but right here gets it done well. And good defensive positioning.
Now it's Ackley with 2 outs. Ackley grounded out to Carter. Chris making a good play with DeDuno taking his toss at first. Red Sox lead the Yankees 2-1. They're in the top of the 7th at Fenway, where A-Rod is on the home run watch, 1 away from number 660 to tie Willie Mays.
Is it a milestone?
Well, it needs to be interpreted, doesn't it?
Not for New York Yankee brass.
He is not in the lineup tonight. CC Sabathia pitching. Justin Masterson for Boston out pitching him so far. Alan Craig has hit his first home run. Boy, there have been some serious injuries to pitchers already this year. Now Homer Bailey headed for Tommy John surgery. 1-2. Adam Wainwright snapped an Achilles tendon, and it's just been a very tough first month of the season for a lot of players who will not play again this year.
You know, I'm wondering if the finger is going to start pointing toward the 11 to 12 months out of the year routines that pitchers are going through to try to be in the best shape they can possibly be in. Is that possibly the culprit in causing these arm injuries?
Altuve throws over to get Ackley and leave the runner at third. No runs, a hit, and a man left. Houston leads it 3-1.
Late in the game. We also saw some pretty good defense late. AJ Hinch talking about Chris Carter making a huge diving catch on Austin Jackson's sacrifice bunt is our Geico quote of the day.
That's what I told him. He's our defensive specialist. You know, at the end of the game, I mean, that's a big man diving a long way and getting a critical out to keep that guy at first base. So, like I said, we did a lot of things right, and I think that's built off of some of the success that we've had the last few weeks. There's a confidence that's growing.
Now it's Carter to lead off in the home fourth inning. Carter grounded out earlier. Josh Fields is working in the Houston bullpen now. Rasmus and Marisnick to follow. Elias throws it at strike one to Carter. Chris was talking about playing a lot of first base this year before the game tonight, and the Astros pitchers have made it easier for the fielders to concentrate. Nice quick pace for guys like Dallas Keuchel, Colin McHugh, and the Astros have made some plays in the field this year. Certainly winning helps, Ash, as everybody really comes to the park, I think, saying, well, let's just concentrate on this game tonight. We've got something going here, and it's much better than a team in a slump. And it's earlier in the season, so the games have not worn people down the way they will have in August. But the fast pace of the pitchers also is contributing to the good feeling.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know how much players notice it. I think they do to some extent. I believe firmly that it's good for everybody who watches the games and can go a long way to help reinvigorate attention to the game.
That's strike three call. It's a fourth strikeout for Elias.
But there is, as you said, a huge aspect of the winning side of things. When you're winning and laughing and having a grand old time in the clubhouse and dugout, time goes much more quickly.
That's a location there for Elias, who now faces Rasmus. Here's a question for you. Rasmus struck out in the second inning. In terms of the mindset of players, these players came in on a 7-game winning streak. Does the player think, oh boy, I need to have a good game tonight, I don't want to be the guy to mess this up? That's a negative thought.
Yeah, I think a lot of that depends on the individual and what kind of mindset that guy has. A confident guy is not going to feel that way generally. I think you might have guys joke around with you that way. Look, you'll come in the clubhouse and somebody's going to say, don't mess it up. You know, and tongue in cheek, and guys will laugh. And now, are you tough enough to kind of roll with that and be the guy that keeps it going?
Struck him out. That's number 5.
Time now for the Whataburger Whata play. Jake Marisnick is also a guy who launched a dinger tonight, and he hit the seams off of this baseball. That ball was hit hard. Line drive shot. You can see some of that fun being had in the dugout. That's good stuff.
And Jake takes a look at it, and it's ball 1 to a surging Jake Marisnick. One ball, 1 strike. During his 8-game hitting streak, coming into this one tonight, 12 for 27. And this is his new career high now that he's extended it to 9 with the homer tonight. 2 balls, 1 strike to Jake, who came from the Marlins. Jared Kozar deal. By the way, Colin Moran, who was also in that trade, had an injury last night, a jaw fracture. And he is a very highly rated prospect at third base for the Astros. He's playing in AA Corpus Christi. He's ranked as the Astros number 6 prospect by MLB.com. He was sliding into second, and a throw from the outfield hit him in the jaw and broke his jaw. That's a 2-out walk. We saw a little bit of him in spring training, Ash, and he has a beautiful swing.
Yeah, a lot of people commented about that fine left-handed swing and how good is he defensively at third base, and can he be that power guy in the future that you want at the corner of the infield, and all that kind of stuff. He's a tall, rangy, lanky guy. But talk about poor fortune to be sliding into second base and then have that happen.
Yeah. Now Marisnick, who is 8 for 9 in base stealing, takes his lead. Castro, who's singled to center field, is the batter. And Elias throws to first.
You know, in terms of the base running, we've talked about the Astros being exceptional in terms of stealing bags to this point. I'm asking myself, who ultimately is going to prove to be the best of the base thieves on this team?
What do you have for us?
I don't know. I mean, Altuve's already a stolen base king. George Springer has all the tools in the world, but so does Marisnick.
They got him if they execute. Morrison, high throw and offline, and he is safe. They did not execute. Miller had to reach way out to his right for the errant throw from Morrison, and Marisnick is in at second.
Well, you better execute to perfection if you're going to get Jake Marisnick and the other pair we talked about. You know, just because they throw over doesn't mean you're dead meat. And Marisnick just went all out and picked it up.
He's at second base with Castro batting now, and 2 outs in the inning. Still waiting for the official score to announce stolen base. Okay, he already did. Castro takes a strike. So Marisnick now with 9 steals has tied Altuve for the American League lead. Springer has 8.
Slacker.
Those 3 guys have more steals than 7 major league teams.
Individual.
0-2. Toby Ellsbury off to a good stolen base start. Astros this season 5 for 5 in steals against Seattle pitching. Castro works it to a 1-ball 2-strike count. Indians lead the Blue Jays in Cleveland 9-4. They're in the bottom of the 8th inning. They gave it to Mark Burley tonight. 8 earned runs in 4 1/3 innings. His ERA is 6.75 right now. Poke foul. Well, the Astros with 2 homers and 1 steal tonight now have 31 homers, 30 steals.
I would call that a very nice blend.
Nice little 1-2 punch of power and speed. Castro strikes out. That's number 6 for Elias, who strikes out 3 in the 4th inning, and it stays 3-1 Houston.
With our family-friendly activities at every Sunday home game presented by Kroger. The Astros take on the Mariners this Sunday. For more information or to purchase tickets, visit astros.com/Sundays, or you can call 1-877-9-ASTROS.
Roberto Hernandez and Jay Happ square off Sunday at 1:10. Good opportunity for you to come out and enjoy some weekend baseball. We have a change on the mound for A.J. Hinch. He's going to the bullpen, and Josh Fields comes in relief of Samuel DeDuno, who did well. Fields in 2 games this season, coming back from the groin injury, has those numbers.
Now in his 3rd season in the big leagues, 29 years of age, and really possesses the biggest of the arms in the Astros pen. This guy can flat bring it and can be that back end of the bullpen guy that comes in for the big strikeouts.
Jesus Sucre, first man up in the 5th inning. Sucre struck out looking in the 3rd. Fields delivers, and it's strike 1 for Josh. Fastball clocked at 93. DeDuno in 4 innings allowed 3 hits, 1 run, walking 2, fanning 4. He cannot be the winner because as the starter he didn't go 5 innings. And that's somewhat unfair because he had little chance to go 5 innings unless he just really didn't have much of a pitch count at all. He wound up throwing 61 pitches, 41 strikes. Pretty good ratio. He did walk the 2. He walked Jackson twice. But nonetheless, A.J. Hinch is going to say after this game that DeDuno did fine. 2-1.
Yeah, and there's no question about it. DeDuno did himself and the Astros proud with that effort tonight. Yeah, you know, you do things because that's the way we've always done it, and that's baseball, like a lot of other things, kind of falls in that category. But wins and losses, that column, the wins column, can be very deceiving at times.
Very deceiving. Yeah, if you were to say, if pressed, all right, did Deduno do his job tonight, what would your answer be?
Absolutely. I'd go beyond yes. I can't remember the specifics, Brownie, but there was a recent game, and I think on the recent road trip, and it could have been Dallas Keuchel, made a start. He was brilliant. Game got away, and as none of his own fault. And the guy who had it get away wound up getting the W in the ball game. And it's been a long time now, a part of the game.
They want Fields to throw that ball out of play.
I wonder is that a pitch that had hit the dirt? I might have missed that part of things.
Yeah, couldn't tell.
However, if a hitter hits a ground ball and it bangs in the dirt a couple of times, it'll stay in the game.
True. 3-2 now for Fields. Josh came in Monday at San Diego and allowed 1 run on 3 hits in 1/3 of an inning. Threw 19 pitches in that game. The Astros regrouped and they won it 9-4. Struck him out looking.
Sucre's done a lot of peeking here this evening. This pitch is going to get rung up time and time again right there.
That is an outstanding location.
Kind of falls in that category that some people talk about. If you can't hit it, go ahead and take it. Yeah, that face right there might have said, I couldn't do anything with it.
Yeah. Smith is 0 for 2 tonight. The Astros have out hit the Mariners 5-3. No errors in the game. Seattle has stranded 4, Houston 2. Ball 1 from Josh Fields, who had the groin injury in spring training and had several minor league rehab outings before he was pronounced ready to go. This bullpen for the Astros has really been something. 6-1, a 2.18 ERA, 7 saves and 10 opportunities. That one bounced. And the bullpen ERA, 3rd lowest in the American League. Media was quizzing A.J. Hinch about the bullpen before the game. And he really likes the versatility of the relievers, he said.
Well, as of tonight, with Kevin Chapman back with the club, he's got 3 left-handers, so he can really go after left-hand hitters individually now.
That's true. 2 balls and a strike. And this Mariner lineup is packed with left-hand hitters.
Probably as much so or more than any other team the Astros will face.
There's Kevin Chapman right now, stretching. 2-2. If you're an Astro reliever in a game like this, it's only the 5th inning. This is one of those nights when several of you may be getting in.
You know, I said of Josh Fields, he's the guy that can come in and maybe punch out the side at any given time. When his stuff is on, just deadly.
That's strike 3. Smith is caught looking.
Right in that same area as the pitch that we saw strike out Sucre. See if this catches the inside corner. Maybe.
It's the 4th called 3rd strike the Mariners have taken. Jackson has walked both times. He has stolen a base. He scored a run on the Cano double in the 3rd. Just checking some numbers, Ash, on bullpen appearances for the season. Rather intriguing, leading you to wonder, can they keep up this pace? Gregerson has pitched 11 times in 22 games. 3 pitchers have pitched 10 times. Neshek, Qualls, and Sip. and Harris has 9 appearances. So those guys are all on a pace to work about 75 or 80 times.
That's a heavy workload. I guess you could make it happen if you continue to balance it really well and provide the guys with ample opportunities to get some rest when needed.
Well, a lot of times they're, 1/3 of an inning, 2/3 of an inning type appearances.
And AJ was talking about it today down in the dugout area. He has decided with the guys in the bullpen, in most cases, that it's 1 to 4 outs that he wants them to be able to get. Now, that doesn't include a long guy, and I don't know tonight where Josh Fields fits in that regard.
Jackson strikes out, and Fields has struck out the side here in the 5th inning to maintain the 3-1 Houston lead.
Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. By Big Time Bats, the Craig Biggio Louisville Slugger Hall of Fame bat is now available. Call Big Time Bats at 866-490-BATS or see it at bigtimebats.com. And by Mattress Firm. Save money, sleep happy.
Hey, wasn't that Grace Perez with Colin McHugh there? Tap foul. There's strike 1 to Jonathan Villar in the bottom of the 5th inning. 3-1, the Astros lead it. Villar chipped in with a single in the 2nd. A looping line drive over shortstop on an 0-2 pitch. And with his speed, if he gets on to lead off this frame, that could really trigger a scoring frame for the Astros. That one goes foul, and it's 0-2. Well, as we've watched this Astros team through the first 22 games, we've seen A.J. Hinch use all the players. Nobody's sitting for many days on the bench.
Now you're looking at one in the lineup tonight, Jonathan Villar. We just saw Hank Conger, who's had limited playing time, but he's had impactful playing time and won one of the ball games with a big swing. So when you get guys that can contribute when they're playing in limited roles, that goes a long ways.
Players have been talking about that very thing, and they love the fact that so many are chiming in with helpful performances to victories. It's not on one guy.
Robbie Grossman had a big hit and a couple of RBIs on the road trip.
Cano. 1 out. Elias gave up a 2-run homer to Gaddis in the first, a solo shot to Marisnik in the second. Holding the line after that, he keeps his club in the game while Altuve comes around for the third time. He has a walk and a run scored in the first, and he bounced into a double play in the second. Astros have outscored their opponents 54-24 during their 7-game win streak. Strike to Altuve. They've had several games of explosiveness offensively in the late innings. In the hole and on through and make it a 10-game hitting streak for Altuve.
You know, he does hit balls hard all over the place, but he's got an uncanny knack for finding some holes at times too. And those guys are generally known as guys that swing a wand. But that's usually a serious compliment, because it simply says this guy can get a hit no matter what he does.
That's hit number 6 for Houston. Balbuena the batter. He got one of those hits in the third, a single to left. He's 1 for 2.
It's a great shot of first baseman Morrison saying, "What do you eat for breakfast? What makes this happen?" Tonight's league leaders are brought to you by your local Honda dealer. Tonight we look at the Major League stolen base leaders. I wonder who that might turn to.
Altuve, last night he stole one and didn't have much bigger lead than he has now. He had a tremendous jump. 2-0. And if he can do that and avoid those repeated throws to first base, he can save his body from the diving back in that base runners often have to do. Those guys do take a beating, though, the guys who really steal a lot of bases. Back when Maury Wills broke the record with the Dodgers for steals in the season, he really did take a beating. Two and 1.
And you remember Maury Wills basically won an MVP title by being the stolen base king. It was viewed to be so impactful in the Dodgers' success. I don't know that notion has carried on through the years for the stolen base, but when you're hitting well over 300 and stealing bags.
He took off, grounder to Cano. 2 outs. There's Frank Trevino with a roving camera on top of Union Station on the party deck. Come back now, Frank.
Every time there's a party, he takes off for what it is.
Beautiful night. Great views from there. George Springer is the batter. He has struck out twice. Nice crowd here tonight. Springer taking ball 1.
Seems to be tied somehow to that winning thing.
Is word getting around?
Might be. Yeah, I had that opportunity this morning running off to one of the fine local golf shops after having a little problem with my golf clubs on the road trip, but there were 3 gentlemen in there that were just all over what the Astros have been doing. So it was great to hear.
Yeah. So did you not hit the ball straight with these clubs, or what was the dilemma?
Well, it seems that some bag handler or handlers decided that they didn't like my driver in 3-wood, so they snapped them in half.
Now you're sure you didn't snap them in half?
I do not possess that kind of power, Browning.
takes a wide one. It's 2 balls, 1 strike to George. Astros have 6 hits. Mariners have 3. Now 3-1.
Good time for George Springer to pick out one pitch and just see if he can get it and annihilate.
This will be the 90th pitch of the night for Elias. Springer takes a walk. That's his 14th walk of the year. 3rd walk of the night for Elias. Springer leads the Astros in drawing bases on balls. Evan Gattis will have this opportunity now with 2 on and 2 outs. He hit a line drive 2-run homer to the Crawford boxes in the 1st and bounced into a double play in the 3rd. Kevin Chapman is up in the Houston bullpen. Cano, Cruz, and Seager due up in the 6th. 2 of them bat left. We'll be joined by General Manager Jeff Luhnow tomorrow night. Talk about this fabulous start for the Astros. There's strike 1 to Gattis as you see Chapman warming up.
You know, I'm thinking there's likely no change on Altuve and Springer right now. So I'd really keep my eyes on Altuve, and I think Springer's doing that to see if possibly that running game comes into play.
In the dirt. Altuve takes off. Springer takes off. Throw to the back runner. Not in time. Throw back to 3rd. Altuve fell down. And he's tagged out by Seager. Rounded the base. He thought maybe he would have an opportunity to score, but he fell down. And that's the end of the 5th inning with no runs, a hit, a man left. 3-1 Houston.
To meet our progressive fan of the game, it gets this cool bag with all kinds of cool stuff in it. This is Joel with me. Joel, 2nd grade, but you've got the best wig on right now. Where did you get this wig?
I got it at Party City.
Oh, of course.
Last year.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Does everyone like it?
Yeah, they do.
What do you like about this baseball game? You seem to be having a good time.
Oh yeah, I am. This is actually my first baseball game.
Well, good for you. I know you went to a Rockets game, too. Big sports fan. Thanks for coming and enjoy the game. Here's your bag. That's Joel Browning.
Thank you, Julia. 3-1 lead for the Astros. There's strike 1 to Robbie Cano leading off the 6th inning. Josh Fields on the mound. Cano had the RBI double to right in the 3rd and a fly ball to center his first time up. Time call by Cano. Very dynamic player, and the thought was that when the Mariners got Cruz to hit behind him, that will bring out more offense from Cano. Ground ball passed. Altuve laid out for it. And Cano's 2 for 3 in this game.
Another guy through the years that's been known to have a wand. Got some second basemen who can really play the offensive side of the game. He could shoot it all over the yard.
Cano, career .310 hitter coming into this season, is the table setter for Nelson Cruz. Cruz 1 for 2 in this game. That was hit number 4 for the M's. Fields with strike 1, and Seager's on deck. Seattle ownership had been talking to Cruz when he was free agent after 2013. The biogenesis situation was very much in the front, and rejected a shorter, cheaper deal for Cruz, and they wound up signing him to 4 years, $57 million after 2014. He made some hay in Baltimore with 40 homers last year, and the value went up for Nelson Cruz. 1 and 2, and you know that really highlights a problem for a lot of us, Ash, in trying to assess how much of an effect the performance enhancing drugs have had on different players' performances, because now there's drug testing and guys are still having big years now that they're being tested. That's flipped foul outside the right field line, as Cruz did with his 40 bombs last year.
That's certainly a good point. I guess as long as there are some people that are capable and willing to get out in front of everything, you still have to kind of wonder at times. But I only bring it up because it's become such a part of athletics for such a long period of time.
What a night to take in a baseball game. That was in on him, and he went for it. And big strikeout there for Josh Fields. That's number 4 for him. AJ's coming out.
This kind of falls in that category for Josh Fields, where at least it looks like right now of getting 4 outs, the way AJ was talking about, and that will be the night.
It's exactly what you mentioned with the lefty hitters Seager, Morrison, Miller, Ackley, 4 in a row lined up. Maybe those will be the 4 outs that Kevin Chapman gets. Well, we swing back to the left side of the bullpen coming up with the score 3-1 Houston. As we look along the train tracks near the party deck, beautiful view of downtown Houston buildings. Well, we have the big promotion coming up. We just got it in the early innings of this game tonight. The Astros ticket promotion. Special tickets priced at $19.86 in honor of the best April this year since 1986. They applied to limited lower level and 200 level tickets for select games in May. And you can call 1-877-9-ASTROS or go to astros.com for tickets. We'll give you more information about the games involved as we move along. But first, the pitching change bringing Kevin Chapman in the game against Kyle Seager. Runner at first, 1 out. In the 6th inning, the Astros up 3-1. Seager has grounded out twice to Jose Altuve. Now time was called. George Springer was being moved more over to right center field. And Chapman just recalled from AAA Fresno today. 1-2 with a 3.27 ERA there. Ball 1 upstairs.
Always a big key for Kevin Chapman is, can he throw strikes? Can he stay away from the walk? In each of his first couple of seasons in the big leagues, he has walked more than a man every other inning. And a lot of those are left-handers that he's brought on to be able to dominate, and it just doesn't happen.
So now he'll be making a big 2-0 pitch next. DR shading up the middle. That one goes foul. 2 balls, 1 strike. This could be just a short-term promotion with the left-hand hitters we talked about for Seattle and this lineup. Texas Rangers are coming in for the next series. They have a different makeup to their ball club. Well, you never know. I mean, there might be one purpose when a player is called up and then things change during that 3-game span. A lot of different things can spin in other directions. In for a strike. 2-2. Astros got Chapman in a trade with Kansas City. He's made 46 appearances over the last 2 years. 3-1 with a 3.24 ERA. Missing there, he now has a full count on Seager. Kevin's 27 years old from Florida, and he went to the University of Florida.
Yeah, I would think the key part of the work for Kevin Chapman at all times would be throw a strike on every pitch when you're not in the ball game, so you're ready to when you get in the game.
Seager with a fly ball to left. Rasmus with the catch. 2 outs. That's a big out for Chapman.
Especially getting to that 3-2 count after falling behind 2-0. Leaves this fastball up out over the plate, and actually it was inner third and inside outed by Seager.
Now Chapman will face Logan Morrison, who tripled to left center in the 4th. He's 1 for 2. And Miller's on deck. Popped up behind the plate. Well, managers carefully consider the way they construct their lineups. And with this lineup, with Seager, Morrison, Miller, and Ackley, all left-hand hitters for Lloyd McClendon, that invites A.J. Hinch to bring in a lefty reliever to face this portion of the lineup at this time in the game.
And if you're wondering, there's nothing about Safeco Field in Seattle that favors a left-hand hitter. It just seems to me kind of a random group of guys that have come together, and it could be a weakness ultimately for the Mariners.
And it's not automatic that a lefty pitcher will get a lefty hitter out.
No, and that's why I say it could be, but it's going to leave managers against the Mariners utilizing a lot of lefties late in games.
And you might be saying, well, don't they have any right-hand pitch hitters on the bench? Yes, they have 4. But these particular players are everyday players who don't often come out for pinch hitters. One ball, 2 strikes just off the plate for Chapman. Chapman pitched 21 times for the Astros last year and 43 times for Oklahoma City, a total of 64 appearances for last year. Runner takes off. Pitch softly popped up. Valbuena in from third base to make the catch. And it's no runs, a hit. Good work by the bullpen. Fields an inning and a third of scoreless ball. Chapman gets 2 outs in the 6th. 3-1 Houston. For Seattle, trying to hang in there for his club until some run support can arrive. The Astros have held the Mariners down to just the 1 run they scored in the 3rd inning, that on a double by Cano. And Houston, even though the record at home for the Astros is 5-5, still looking for that offensive success at Minute Maid Park, hitting 178 through 10 games, scoring 24 runs in those 10, and yet playing .500 ball.
It's pretty fortunate. That requires an awful lot of timeliness and pitching to go with it.
Sure does. Yoervis Medina, a right-hander, warms up for Seattle. Roenis Elias has thrown 91 pitches. He begins the 6th inning with Evan Gattis leading it off. Gattis was at the plate when Altuve was thrown out. Hits a little dribbler. Elias with the throw gets him on the stretch by Logan Morrison. So on that play to end the 5th inning, it was a wild pitch allowing Altuve and Springer to advance, and then Altuve was thrown out from 2 to 4 to 5. Now Chris Carter will bat. Carter's 0 for 2 tonight. There's a no-hitter going, Ash, through 7 in Kansas City for the Royals against Detroit. Yes.
Wow, that's big-time pitching.
It really is. Chris Young started. He went the first 5. He's been pitching in relief. He came out after 81 pitches. And Ryan Madsen has pitched the 6th and 7th to add to the no-hitter. There's a strike to Carter. And it's 4-0 Kansas City as Detroit bats in the 8th.
I'd love to see the odds in Vegas as to the chances of that no-no.
No balls, 2 strikes. Well, Brad Ausmus's Tigers just fell out of the top spot, losing to Kansas City last night in the AL Central. Detroit now a half game behind at 15-8. Carter will have a 1-2 pitch coming next from Elias.
Yeah, the mere fact that Chris Young, a soft tossing veteran right-hander, would start a game that would have a no-no possibility, to me, is quite odd. Now
2 balls, 2 strikes. Miguel Cabrera's hitting .365. He's 0 for 2 so far tonight.
Intriguing name as the starting pitcher for the Tigers in that ball game.
Struck him out. Who started for Detroit?
You want a major league pitcher named Lobstein?
Oh,
Kyle Lobstein.
well, if he can get people out, yes.
He's out there throwing eephus pitches everyone.
That's 7 punch-outs for Elias. He's given up 2 homers. Gaddis a 2-run shot in the first. Marisnik a solo in the second inning. Colby Rasmus has struck out both times. The Astros have just had this resourcefulness going now during the last stretch of games. Whether it's a 3-2 win in 10 innings, as it was last night, or a rout, they've been winning. 7-2 Wednesday in San Diego, 14-3 Tuesday night, etc. Two balls, no strikes for Rasmus with Marisnik on deck. Two and one. The Texas Rangers come in starting Monday night, and that'll be a part of that brand new ticket promotion price package of $19.86 for some of the seats in this ballpark Monday through Wednesday. 2 balls, 2 strikes. So the home dates involved in that special pricing this month are May 4th through the 6th, the Rangers. May 12th and 13th, the Giants. May 14th against the Blue Jays. May 18th through the 20th against the A's. That's strike 3. 8 punch outs through 6 innings for Elias. 3-1 Astros.
Offers great matchups, including the Yankees, Tigers, and Dodgers. Be there for the anniversary of his 3,000 hit Biggio weekend and more. To purchase tickets, visit Astros.com/Biggio, HOF, or call 1-877-9-ASTROS. Guys, we had an exciting visitor earlier today at the ballpark.
Ladies and gentlemen,
check it out. Ricky Williams, 1998 Heisman Trophy winner. My guy right there. And then, of course, former NFL running back. Check this out. He put some zip on that ball. I was down on the field, and you could hear it pop. It was great.
Nice. And Julia, I know you've been our intrepid reporter trying to find him tonight, but apparently he left.
I heard. I'm disappointed. I did catch him before the game started to talk a little bit about his minor league baseball career. Interesting stuff. Yeah, he never made it above Class A. He was trying to do it while playing college football. I don't know how you even do that, but he talked about the grind and how much he learned. He loved baseball. That was kind of his first love. Grew up in San Diego, big Padres fan. You can imagine how great of an athlete he was.
0-2, and Brad Miller takes it. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Kevin Chapman, pitcher number 3 of the night, came in after Josh Fields worked an inning in the 3rd. Fields allowing 1 hit, no runs, no walks, 4 strikeouts. Chapman got Seager and Morrison in the 6th, and now he's at 1-2 on Miller with righty Pat Neshek warming up. Neshek may come in when it swings back to the right-handed side of the lineup. And we see Ricky Weeks in the on-deck circle. He could be pinch hitting for Ackley. Miller strikes out. Strikeout number 9 for Astros pitchers.
Promising outing now for Kevin Chapman. Fell behind on his first man, but he's starting to find a way to get into the strike zone. And his stuff can be extremely effective against left-hand hitters.
Now with Weeks being announced, AJ Hinch is making his move toward the mound, and he's going to bring in the right-hander Neshek, countering the Lloyd McClendon pinch hit decision to have his right-handed hitter Weeks bat for Ackley. So pitcher number 4 of the night will be on his way very shortly as Neshek comes in. Chapman with 3 key outs in this game after just arriving from AAA Fresno. He leads to a nice round of applause. 21,834 the paid attendance tonight. An energetic crowd really liking this 7-game winning streak and hoping that Chapman has been a vital part of win number 8 in a row. Neshek will tell part of that story when he comes in right after this. AJ Hinch has made another move to the bullpen, bringing in Pat Neshek as Orbit circulates among the fans. Neshek, the 34-year-old right-hander, taking over to face the pinch hitter Ricky Weeks with a 1-0 record of 5.19 ERA.
Really the only member of this bullpen that has numbers that would indicate he'd love to do some shaving away at him. And pitched in yesterday's ball game, just a 1/3 of an inning.
Weeks takes the first pitch. It's strike 1 for Pat. Sucre is on deck. He's a 205 hitter with 2 homers, has 5 runs batted in. Former Milwaukee Brewer. He was a first-round pick of that club in 03. Fouls that one. Seattle signed him as a free agent in February this year. Ricky's hit 150 major league homers. The Astros used to face him often when the two were NL Central competitors, Milwaukee and Houston. The no-hitter remains alive through 8 for the Royals against Detroit. Oh, they just got a hit. They just got one in the top of the 8th.
That's on your shoulders, pal.
Yeah. Kelvin Herrera came in. He walked Avila, and Castellanos singled to left to break it up. Herrera was the third pitcher of the night for the Royals, who lead 4-0 in the 8th. Foul back. It's still 0-2 to Ricky Weeks, who hit the eventual game-winning homer against Texas Tuesday. It's a solo shot. He started 6 games and hit a pinch homer at Oakland April 12th. That was his first home run as a Mariner. High chopper left side. VR unloads. Good play. 2 outs.
That was smooth as can be. And when you watch VR, you'll realize right away he has a very good throwing arm. He hasn't been overly accurate, but they're working on that aspect right now. But watch how he plants, takes the ball, and right from that position with that right foot planted, able to get the good over-the-top throw. That's nice.
He had his footwork down. 2 outs, and it's Sucre now. He struck out looking twice. That's ball 1 to him. If you have struck out looking twice in a game, you're not about to let that happen a third time, correct?
Well, you try to convince yourself you're not, but if you're not seeing the ball well, that therein lies a lot of the problem for getting caught looking.
VR plays the one hopper to make it a 1-2-3 7th inning. We go to the bottom half of the score, 3-1 Houston. Earlier in the game, time to deliver now. It's Miller time. Brought to you by Miller Lite. This bullpen continues to be very dynamic for the Astros. Josh Fields has re-injected himself into the mix and had a very powerful outing tonight, Ash.
And not the Lone Ranger either. You get Kevin Chapman, who has come on. But Fields, that arm can make a big difference. Eventually, when he is settled in on this staff, he's going to be one of the back end of the bullpen guys. And potentially at some point, the guy that could be the closer on this team because of that powerful arm.
The Astros leading 3-1 will come up in the bottom of the 7th inning here. Marisnick, Castro, and VR to bat. I guess Yoervis Medina, the big right-hander, with a 1-0 record in 10 innings, has 3 holds. And right now, the Seattle club, which swept the Texas Rangers, just trying to keep the Astros at bay until they hope their offense can work late for them, Ash.
And Medina is one of the key members of that bullpen. So right now, Lloyd McClendon trying to keep it at bay and see if his offense can come to life. But it's been a tough assignment against Houston pitching.
Marisnick ripped a homer in the 2nd inning, and he walked and stole a base in the 4th. Buenos Elias had a good night. With 6 innings of work, he allowed 6 hits, 3 runs. He walked 3 and fanned 8. And it's up for ball one. Medina allowed 2 earned runs in an inning and a third against Minnesota on the 25th of April. Misses there and falls behind 2-0 on Marisnik. Been a lot of fun here early season for Astros fans who come out to these games to see some really sound baseball. Two balls and a strike. There have been a lot of crisp, well-pitched games at home, especially. Medina is pitching for the 3rd time against the Astros. In one of the games in Seattle, he got a blown save, but there was an error behind him. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Jed Lowry had an RBI single off him, and then he got a hold in the Seattle 3-2 win, coming in with a 1-run lead in the 8th inning. Medina's 26 years old. He's from Venezuela. Listed at 6'3", 245. Fly ball to left center. Austin Jackson comes in. 1 down for Medina.
Go Astros!
Jason Castro singled to center in the 2nd inning. He struck out in the 4th. Astros about hit the Mariners 6-4. Chad Qualls is warming up for Houston. In the 8th inning, it'll be the top of the order. Smith, Jackson, and Cano due to bat for Seattle. Medina worked 66 times last year for the M's with a 2.68 ERA. Castro takes it, and it's ball 1 to Jason with VR on deck. Texas leads Oakland 5-1. They're in the 8th inning in Arlington, Texas. Castro takes a look, and it's 2-0. Alan Zinter is the assistant hitting coach for the Astros. He was using an interesting phrase tonight, talking about hitting. Hitters need to be on time to hit the pitch. And he said it's a dance with the pitcher and the hitter. Fly ball, left fielder Ricky Weeks. 2 outs. Do you ever feel like you were dancing with the pitcher, Ash?
Dancing's never been a part of my one of my strengths. Garth Brooks probably could have played that game with the pitchers, but yeah, that's intriguing because it is a rhythm game for a lot of guys, and I was a rhythm hitter, so I can see where he's going with that notion.
Well, you know, you need to get in that rhythm with the pitcher if you're hitting, and he's your dance partner, so you need to be in sync with that. Jonathan VR is 1 for 2.
And you're also trying to figure out what the next move, like you're saying, is, and yeah, that's an intriguing notion.
Foul away, there's strike 1. The Astros got 2 in the 1st, 1 in the 2nd. And then in the top of the 3rd, Seattle got a run, and that is it for the night. One ball, 1 strike. Well, the Oakland Athletics are 9-14. Texas Rangers are 7-14. Texas leading it 5-2 in the top of the 8th inning. Scott Kazmir gave up 3 earnings in 6 innings tonight. Colby Lewis 6 shutout frames for Texas. Prince Fielder hit his 2nd home run, and Kyle Blanks hit number 1. Cannon number 3 for 2-1. So now that we've gone through the first 3 weeks plus of the season, what's your feel for the AL West? Who's going to take charge, or is it going to be a scramble?
I would say that, as often has been the case, I thought initially there was going to be a lot of strength that would immediately be evident in the division. But I think the strength right now that has seemed the most evident comes from the Astros. After having gone through, I think Oakland is going to be fine. I don't know that I see them as one of the dominant teams. I think the Angels could be really good. Texas Rangers, I think, are going to have their problems.
How about this Seattle team?
Yeah, Seattle is not as good as the forecast, at least in my mind right now. They could rally and become a strong team.
3-2.
I know before the year began, you had some pretty strong feelings about Seattle, as did a lot of people that are considered experts in the world of baseball.
I was wrong.
No, I don't know that you were. But, you know, time is the real answer provider, I guess.
We have time. Cano. 1-2-3 in the 7th inning for Medina. 3-1 Houston, moving to the 8th.
I don't know if we have just one tonight. I think it could be a group of guys, and it could be that pitching side of the game for Houston. Sam Deduno got the start, pitched very well for 4 innings, allowed 1 run, and then the bullpen has come on. Fields, Chapman, and Neshek, and they have dominated to this point, and that's exactly a formula that A.J. Hinch would love to see played out over and over this year.
Such a turnaround from last year's bullpen. And now Chad Qualls will add to the lineup. He'll be pitcher number 5 of the night. He'll work the top of the 8th inning. Smith, Jackson, and Cano due to bat. In 10 games, Chad is 0-1 with a 3.24 ERA and a couple of saves. 5 straight appearances without allowing a run. Seth Smith is 0 for 3. Strike 1 to Smith. Smith laced the ball, lining it back through the middle as he led off the game. Deduno knocked it down with his gloved hand and threw him out. Qualls worked 2/3 of an inning last night, giving up 1 hit, no runs. He retired Cano and Cruz in the 8th inning of that game after allowing a hit to Jackson. But it's been such a team effort for this pen. Tyler Olson warming up for Seattle. After Qualls came out of the game, Tony Sipp got Seager to put up a 0 in that 8th. And quite often an inning would be shared by 2 relievers. And you've already explained what AJ said about maybe asking up to 4 outs per reliever, but sometimes it's 2 outs depending on matchups.
Anywhere between 1 and 4. And that's the ideal. Of course, sometimes he's going to have to come out of that box a bit.
2-2. Well, it's certainly working very well right now. Boy, a bullpen is just so vital to the success of a team, especially in today's game. The Astros have not had a well-functioning bullpen for the last few years. Last year they had some key injuries to two of the relief pitchers. Struck him out. That's 10 punch-outs for Astros pitchers tonight.
Yeah, that's righty on lefty. So the dominance isn't just when that pitching matchup favors the righty-righty and the lefty-lefty.
Excellent point, Ash. Slider breaking under the bat of Smith, who has punched out 3 times tonight. Austin Jackson has walked twice and he struck out. There's strike one. Last year, Qualls was dinged up by the left-handed batters, especially Oakland's left-handed hitters. But he had an effective season overall. Missing there, and it's 1 ball, 1 strike count. But so far this season, left-handed batters against Chad Qualls are now 1 for 14. So do you think maybe AJ is really choosing the matchups more carefully, or do you have a reason for that?
Well, I will say this. He's aware of the matchups. Now, whether you always go that way, I could only ask postscript with AJ, but he and the staff are so ahead of the ball game at all times in terms of what stats favor them that I'd sure lean in that direction, that he knows exactly what's going on.
That makes it 2-2. Chad Qualls was here in 05. Here the Astros went to the World Series. He pitched 77 times that year. The next year he had 81 appearances. The next year 79. Then he went on to Arizona. He's a guy who can work effectively many times. Backhanded tough play. VR throwing across his body to Carter. Brilliant play.
Yeah, a lot of people appreciating now what VR is doing here on the night. He's trying to implement exactly what he's being taught, and it's not like any of this being new to Jonathan. It's just that aspect of trying to get done what he's capable of doing, and that really is what the Astros want from him, is to just smooth it out, iron out what you're capable of doing on a regular basis.
Well, it is a spectacular effort by BR. Now it's Cano. He is 2 for 3 with a run producing double. So if BR doesn't make that play, Cano represents a potential tying run here. And it's ball 1 to Cano. It's really important to pitchers, and there are several on the Astros staff like Qualls who get a lot of ground balls, to have those plays made behind them.
When you talk to pitchers, one thing they mandate is you've got to get an out on a routine play. Now that wasn't routine. It wasn't spectacular, somewhere in between, and pitchers expect those outs, and when you don't get something you expect, I think all of us can have a letdown.
That was extremely difficult, but if Jackson reaches on it, then Cano and Cruz come up next with some real ability to cause damage. VR coming in, but there's Valbuena cutting in front of him for the 3rd out. We go to the bottom of the 8th inning. It's 3-1 Houston.
I want to be here tomorrow. Join the Astros as they take on the Mariners. 10,000 fans will receive a Jose Altuve hit counter bobblehead presented by Goya. For more info, visit Astros.com or call 1-877-9-ASTROS. Altuve, of course, adding to that hit counter last night with a big hit, that walk-off hit. Marwin Gonzalez was on second during that at-bat and said, I was expecting a hit. Why would you not expect a hit from this guy? He's so locked in right now and surprises us every day with something else that he can do, guys.
He is amazing, and he has extended his hitting streak to 10 games tonight with a fifth-inning single. He also has a walk, but will it be another multi-hit game? He could tie a club record with 9 straight multi-hit games, and this may be his last chance to make this a multi-hit affair. He'll do so against lefty Tyler Olson, who's 1-1 in 9 1/3 innings. Altuve will be followed by Valbuena and Springer, with the Astros looking for insurance runs here in the 8th inning and warm-up activity in the bullpen. Olson is 25 years old. He's from Spokane, Washington. 7th-round pick by the Mariners in 2013, and that's fouled for strike 1.
Altuve turned to the old tried and true right there. Wide open right side. He took a shot at it.
He sure did. Olson went to spring training as a non-roster invited player. Last year he was a starting pitcher at High Desert in Jackson.
Yep.
And that goes right through that opening with the overshift on. Altuve took the hit they gave him, and he's tied a club record with 9 straight multi-hit games. Looks easy.
You know what? I was just going to say candy for a baby. He's got a wide open right side. I don't know that any other club is going to attempt this year. Let's put the shift on him. He's finding every hole on the left side. Well, come on. You give him that open right side, and he's just going to do that.
What an incredible talent. Now it's Valbuena. Valbuena 1 for 3. He looks at it. There's strike 1. 7 hits tonight for the Astros. 4 for the Mariners. The Astros would really love a little working room. Cruz, Seager, and Morrison are due up in the 9th for Seattle. Medina had a 1-2-3 7th for the Mariners. Valbuena backs out, and it's 1-1. Olson was originally drafted by Oakland, but he decided to play baseball at Gonzaga University. Last year as a starter at AA Jackson, 10-7 with a 3.52 ERA. He led the Mariners minor league system in wins, strikeouts, and innings pitched. Got the promotion to the big league club. He was the loser in an extra inning game against Minnesota on April 26th. One hopper, Cano backs up. He feeds it on to Miller. Miller turns and gets it over to Morrison. That's a 4-6-3 double play, the 3rd of the night for Seattle. George Springer is 0 for 2 with a walk. Jose Altuve has joined Jesus Alou in 1969 and Billy Hatcher 1987. 9 consecutive multi-hit games. Strike to Springer.
I'm not sure how many hitters in the major leagues, what percentage have the ability to shoot toward a side of the infield that's left wide open, but for Jose Altuve, that's just easy pickings in my opinion. Now, he's not going to get it every time, but I would say the percentages go way up if you provide that for Jose.
Springer moves back from it. 2-1 to George.
And there is the belief out there that on shifts, hitters don't have any way of taking advantage. They just are who they are.
Big cut by Springer. It's 2-2. George now. Minnesota down the White Sox 1-0 at Target Field. Kyle Gibson going 8 for the win. Glenn Perkins getting his 7th save, beating Jose Quintana. High, and that is home run number 3 for the Astros tonight. Number 4 of the season for George Springer. 4-1 Houston in the 8th, and the excitement continues. All 4 runs have come on long balls.
Wow. I continue to feel that guy could be the difference maker if this team is to have a big-time successful year or come up short. I hate to put it on one guy or just a small group of guys, but he's a difference maker.
That's his 12th run batted in. Now Evan Gattis with strike 1. Gattis drilled the first homer of the night. That was a 2-run shot in the first. He's 1 for 3. Here's Carter's on deck. Seager gets up, spins, throws high. Safe at first. Gattis beats it. That's an infield hit for Gattis.
And now our pitch by pitch brought to you by Steel Dealers. Why not just turn to the George Springer home run? Watch this and enjoy yourself. Okay, so he takes a perfectly spotted strike away and then takes one low inside. Yeah, let's get one we like. I think he liked that one, but I think he liked this one more. There may be no base hits up the middle, but there are plenty of home runs about 400 plus feet to straightaway left.
Springer took the tour, and now Gattis has followed with a single. 3 hits in the inning. And we get a pinch runner at first as Carter smacks one to left center field. Jackson back for the leaping catch. That's the 8th inning for Houston. 1 run scoring on 3 hits and a man left. On to the 9th. Will this be win number 8 in a row for the Astros? We'll find out soon with the score 4-1.
At Southwest.com. And by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit us at Geico.com or call 1-800-947-AUTO.
They are having some kind of fun at Minute Maid Park. They've seen the Astros, and they've noted it on their scorecard. Hit 3 home runs tonight. Have excellent pitching. The game started by Deduno, Fields, Chapman, Neshek, Qualls, and now pitcher number 6 of the night, Luke Gregerson. 2-0 with a 1.64 ERA, 4 saves. Last night he got a win in the 10-inning game. The Mariners have not had a base runner since the 6th inning when Cano led off with a single. 9 straight have been retired. And now here's Gregerson versus Cruz. High shot to left center field. Cruz has hit a majestic bomb. Nelson Cruz up by the train. Number 11 of the season for Nelson Cruz.
That kind of makes that home run by Springer look pretty big. But talk about big. You just don't see balls hit out there up on the tracks.
Don't think I've ever seen one hit that far to left center field and that high in this ballpark.
I think Bobby Dynamite thought he was safe. Wow.
Bobby might have thought there was a dynamite charge in Cruz's bat with that kind of carry. That is a monster blast. 4-2 game now. And Kyle Seager follows. There's ball one to Seager. Seager 0 for 3 in this game. Now a 2-run lead with the infield overshifted on Seager. Gregerson deals, and it's 2-0 for Luke.
I think that falls in the category of getting every bit of it.
Yeah, when you go train out there, that is just a monster shot. 2-1.
See the flags moving a bit, but the wind was no factor on that.
Nelson Cruz took a ride on the B&O Railroad. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
The B&O.
Wasn't that the railroad?
Might have been the big one. Yeah, that might have been it.
He got to go directly to start.
Yeah, there was no pass and go on that one.
Well, he got a get out of jail free card while he was at it. Fly ball near the left field line. Colby Rasmus takes it in for out number 1. And Logan Morrison will follow. Chad Qualls with a 1-2-3 8th inning keeps himself in play for tomorrow now. Qualls needing 13 pitches to get his 3 outs. Neshek threw 7 pitches for his 2/3 of an inning. Chapman 14 pitches. Fields had 23. So the bullpen night has worked out well. Now it's a matter of getting 2 final outs. Morrison has a triple. He's 1 for 3. Ball 1 for Gregerson. His most recent save was at Oakland April 26th, his 4th of the year. He's 4 for 5 in saves. 2 balls, no strikes. Astros relievers are 6-1. In saves, they're 7 for 10. And if they do win this game, a reliever will be the winning pitcher. Starter Deduno went 4 innings. Foul, then it's a 2-ball, 1-strike count. When the Astros have the lead after 6 innings in a game, they're 9-0 this year. When they lead after 8 innings, they're 11-0. What a reversal from a year ago when they led the majors in blown saves.
That's kind of one of those stats that expanded out over the course of the season. You look back on when teams have had big years.
Swing and a miss makes it 2-2. Last year, the Astros bullpen had an ERA of 4.80, worst in the majors. They had 26 blown saves. That was tops in the majors. They have not had an 8-game winning streak since the 08 season. And some people are starting to take notice.
Well, I bet there are 4 clubs in the American League West that are taking serious notice.
Yeah. That's a shot to right field. Springer with a long run. That's headed for the seats. That's another long ball for Seattle. Morrison hits number 2 this season. And it's a 4-3 lead for Houston now. Still 2 outs to go.
Lather, rinse, and repeat on the comment about the home run by Springer.
Yeah, this has changed now. The Mariners bats bringing strong shots here in the 9th inning. Mariners now have hit 27 home runs this season. They began the night in 6th place in long ball derby in the American League. And here's Miller. Miller is 0 for 3. Strike for Gregerson. Luke pitched 4 times on the 9-game road trip. They got a win and 2 saves. One and one. Astros about hit the Mariners 9-6. Now Springer's moving over several steps toward the right field line. Little roller. Gregerson barehanding. Gets him. 2 outs. And Ricky Weeks will come up. Weeks entered the game as a pinch hitter for Ackley and grounded out in the 7th inning. Tomorrow night, Colin McHugh takes the baseball against Taijuan Walker. Game time 6:10 tomorrow night. Justin Ruggiano comes out to the on-deck circle. Sucre due up next. Fans are standing. Great crowd tonight. 21,834 to paid attendance, and they have been into it. Strike for Gregerson. Ricky Weeks, born in Florida, he went to Southern University in Louisiana. Swings at that one 0-2, and Taijuan Walker, tomorrow night's starter for Seattle. He's born in Shreveport. Astros fans loving the show this team has put on. Foul back. These Astros players who have been around for a few years probably haven't seen something like this too often with the fans in the 9th inning.
This makes me reflect on those postseason games. Cardinals, Braves, and of course the World Series with the White Sox, but the opportunities to stand like this in the 9th inning and root your team on to victory.
They have come to do exactly that. He checked his swing. It's 1-2. Gregerson signed as a free agent with this club.
What shall we see? Yeah, that breaking ball off the plate, and that's where you want to be if you're Gregerson on that count.
Luke came in on a 3-year contract. He struck him out. And the Astros have won 8 in a row for the first time since the 2008 season. They have equaled their best start, 16-7. Last done in 1980, a club that went into the playoffs and had a great playoff series against the Philadelphia Phillies. So move over, 1980 Astros. You have company. From 2015, it's a 16-7 start for the Houston Astros with a 4-3 win tonight. We'll be right back.